The attack on Saturday brings memories of the Abuja Kaduna attack and kidnapping. It took almost 6 months from the day of the attack for all the passengers to be released from that incident. But now the Nigeria Railway Corporation has described this attack as sabotage, while Nigeria's Minister of State for Transportation, Tolulope Adeleru-Balogun, says that the railway and host communities' security committees would be established as part of efforts to curb incidents of armed attacks on the nation's rail infrastructure and its passengers. Now, Dennis Amakri, former Assistant Director of the Department of State Services, joins me now on Village Square Africa. Dennis, when we look at this, unfortunately, I wanted to ask you if you were anticipating another attack, but in a way I anticipated your answer. But let me go ahead and start with that. The Abuja Kaduna attack was in March 2022. This is now January 2023. In between, we did see some other attacks, but not really hitting again railway infrastructure or train stations as it may be. Should we have been anticipating another attack after the Kaduna-Abuja situation?
Thank you for having me. I think I will still anticipate, another attack because we've not put what is supposed to be on ground for the prevention of further attacks. You see, and the attacker is choosing his own spots. He goes to Kaduna and he does his thing. We all close down that area. We run around. He comes to Edo, and then the next thing you see him in Calabar or somewhere like that. So I believe that we should put the security plan in place to make sure that the rails are safe before we start to open it to the public. Otherwise, we'll continue to have these bandits going around asking for ransom, to live their lives.
To live their lives and continue to terrorize Nigerians. So you talk about us learning lessons. So let me skip my my next question and go straight to that. What lessons do you think were in the Kaduna-Abuja train attack that our security infrastructure, our security architecture should have taken notes on and found a way to implement before we get to this point? Because there are calls for the federal government to now establish railway police in every station, as well as railway and host communities security committees. But is that really the solution to this?
Well, there are different solutions that could be preferred. Different solutions. You can use human intelligence, where human community people can be used to inform the formal security agencies about the movements of people. You can also put technology in place. You can prevent crime by environmental design, and that is to make sure that the access control and even the part of the rail is secured. I'll give you an example. Lagos State has done a very good job. If you remember very well, they said that the Lagos State rails are electrified, and then they are in between a corridor. So people cannot just stray into it. If you look at this one between Kaduna and Kano, even cattle will walk across, and then of course you might have accidents like that, trains running into cattle. But if there is a safe corridor where nobody is allowed to enter, nobody should be able to vandalize it, and then of course if you venture in there, you will be shocked. Electricity. That way people will stay away. But we don't do all these things. We don't put CCTV cameras that we want to put there. And then of course, at the terminals themselves, anybody can walk in and walk out. And, we are not controlling the access, just like the airport. Not everybody can go to the mouth of the plane where you want to join the plane. So there are levels of security and there are barriers that have to be followed. And I think that's what we should do, even for this particular one, because they are all transportation security.
Yes, and that's infrastructure. Dennis, hold on. I do believe we have on the line now Felix Imoisili. He is the former local government chairman of Igueben, and I want to talk to him as well. Felix, are you with me?
Yes, I'm with you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us. Now, we do condole with your community, and we hope that many of those who have been taken will also be found in a timely and speedy manner. But there are questions we want to ask, and some of those questions, let me start with this. Our correspondent is in the area, and we can see that it looks like quite a rural area that's far from most infrastructure and presence. And so my question would be, in terms of an official security or state presence in the community, what has that been like before this attack?
Well, if I get you, the station actually is not very far from the administrative headquarters of the local government. The police station is just about 20 minutes. It's very peaceful. What we are saying is that the place was left open, final, and maybe you don't know, the Igueben train station has a high traffic, and people from Uromi, Ekpoma, Irua, and all the adjoining towns, they come there because it's more accessible than all the other train stations. The one that is at Ganebode, the one that is at Uromi and Ibake. So the one at Igueben is located almost at the heart of Igueben. So you see high traffic, people coming from the adjoining villages and all to come aboard train. So what we are trying to say is that there is no sufficient security network. Not even the local vigilante was found when this incident happened. And only two policemen were stationed there and were made to understand that they were not on duty on that very day. So that is the one that I talk about in this matter.
So, Felix, let me also ask, do the people feel like maybe they've been forgotten by governments, whether at the state level or the federal level? Because in all honesty, the attention will die down. The high security presence that the community and its areas are experiencing now will go away as the time passes. But the people of the community will continue to live in fear and have to secure themselves. Do they feel like they've ever been adequately given the security they deserve as citizens of Nigeria?
Well, let us say the truth. You know, the security apparatus is largely controlled by the federal government. And the local hunters, as we speak, they are still coming all the bushes and all with all the security agencies. I want to say that maybe with this that has happened, that will trigger up a more support and interest for them to come and take care of the security of this infrastructure. It is not just enough for you to say you have a very big station like this, a very busy train station without any security. That's exactly the issue. Yeah, the villagers, they are concerned. As we speak right now, we are going to a local security meeting. In the next 10 minutes, I just came out of the meeting to talk with you. All of us try to put heads together to see the role that we can also play, because we believe that we will not leave everything to state or the federal government alone. We are trying to see what we can do. We're working with the local government council that is headed by Chief Best Ose. That is it.
All right, no problem. We'll let you go now, Felix. Thank you so much for your time, and we hope to have updates from you. Dennis, so you've heard, I asked about whether or not the people of the community felt they've been forgotten. He's also pointed out the fact that security is largely in the hands of the federal government. But before we get largely into that, these attacks, which you don't obviously agree with, but I'll come to that now, these attacks have also brought up the kidnapping for ransom angle of Nigeria's insecurity challenges. So a report published by SBM, a geopolitical intelligence platform, last year said that just under 7 million naira was paid as, 700 million naira was paid as ransom in Nigeria between July 2021 and June 2022. And this does not account for the money that the families of the Abuja Kaduna kidnapped victims are suspected to have paid, which ran into the hundreds of millions of naira as well. So why do we see this type of criminality and insecurity growing in the country?
Well, thank you very much for that question. You see, it's a problem that I think even the security agencies are trying to grapple with. Originally, or should I say, initially, ransom is not supposed to be paid. Ransom is not supposed to be paid in the sense that when you pay ransom, then you are cutting them. You are oiling the wheels of further kidnappings. Instead of paying ransoms or allowing families to pay ransom, why don't you gather that money and use it for the security agencies so that they will have the necessary technology, they will have the necessary personnel to crack down on this? Because after all, they are not spirits. These people are the kidnappers and human beings. And we've given them a leeway. We've even negotiated with them and paid them. Government officials are paying, individuals are paying. So it's a very big booming economy, and I think we made the mistake from the beginning. But it is not too late. We can stop it, whereby we can say, hey, we're not paying ransom again. But then we must be ready to deal with it.
And I think in a roundabout way, we would agree that the reason people are willing to pay ransom for their family members is a lack of trust in the system, exactly, in the state architecture. And they see that people who get kidnapped either don't come back home or it takes time. So they're circumventing the state because the state has failed to deliver.
Not that they're circumventing the state, because actually when you look at it again, government is supposed to do certain things when somebody is kidnapped. There is what we call the duty of care by the government to the people. Like all these people that have been kidnapped right now, 31 of them or so, what are their names?
Yes.
Who are their family members? Are we in touch with the family members? Are we talking to the family members every day to tell them that, look, don't worry, calm down, we are doing something about it? If they are not, in fact, some of them might have lost their breadwinners. Have you eaten today? Government should have that duty of care to deal with that. And then we go to the real thing, whereby we now, I like what they are doing though, where they are not just allowing it to be just like the Kaduna Abuja train problem. They are after them, and that is very, very important. You don't allow them to rest. They can never rest. Be on their tail until they either abandon the victims and run away, or, they are caught in the act.
Okay, so I don't want us to just end that question about the kidnap ransom sort of criminality we're seeing like that, because this money goes somewhere. And a lot of people have raised questions about how the failure to deal with the kidnap for ransom sort of circles back around to the Nigerian situation, to the Nigerian security situation. So how does that failure to deal with this kidnapping for ransom and the money that goes into the hands of criminals continue to now be an issue for further fueling of Nigeria's security challenges?
Now, that I'll give you some examples. When somebody was kidnapped in Kogi, the ransom was paid in Sambisa Forest. What does that tell you? It tells you that there is a link. And now when you look at even the last guy that was Abdulmumini Otaru, who is a commander of ISWAP, he was operating in the northeast. But now, because of the heat that the military is giving them there, he has run down to Lokoja area, to Kogi area, and then he's now setting up a new one because he knows that the confluence has allowed transportation of businessmen going from south to north, north to south, and these people, of course, they are traders, they have money, so they go ahead and wage them there. Now, when they arrested this guy, of course, during the interrogation, he told them everything. So what does that tell us? This thing is widespread. Boko Haram is looking for money. They are not just there. They have hundreds of people they are feeding every day. They have guns to buy. One AK-47 is 500,000 naira in the black market. So they are looking for the money. This is where the money is going at, you know. So it is one thing that we have to do. Fundamentally, nip this problem in the bud. And then, of course, we can have a better country because we have allowed these people to do whatever they like for so long, and it is actually affecting our economy and our people.
Yes. All right, let's come back to what Felix said and which one you disagreed with. And he was talking about the fact that the power or the responsibility about security lies in the hands of the federal government. And this is an ongoing controversy. We have state governors in Nigeria who receive security votes. It's money that we do not know how much it actually is, money that's meant to help in securing their communities, their local governments. And we've seen the call for community and state policing rising, but still people say, look to the center, look to the federal to secure you. Why do you seem to disagree with that?
I totally disagree with that, totally, because number one, state governors are receiving security votes every month, billions of naira, which I think is like their pocket money because they are not using it. They might buy some cars for security agencies and stuff like that, but the rest goes into their pocket, which they spend anyhow they like. Local governments are just there on paper. I'm happy that the person that you talk, Felix, is a former local government chairman. Ask him, what has he done about security in his local government? Now they are in a meeting. Those kind of meetings are where you mobilize the local people. Now you are going to mobilize local people to go into the bush, look for these people. Now, are you not going to pay them, or you just want them to go inside the bush and come out? They will pay them, and that is what security votes are meant for. You cannot say that federal government cannot come down there and do everything. As a local government chairman, you have the DPO there. You have a local government security chief from the DSS there. There are NCDC people there. And these people are supposed to be advising the local government chairman. Instead of using these people, what do? They carry a whole bunch of mopols to be following them around. And these mopols will be following them around and carrying guns, and that makes the chairman feels that he's a very important person. But they should at least, let's say, even if you don't have anything, buy some hillocks and put soldiers or secure policemen, joint task force people in it, and let them serve as quick response. He mentioned it at the station. They have only 2 policemen. What are 2 policemen going to do there? We need a response team that will be effective.
Yes.
Carrying an AK-47 with your friend, maybe smoking a cigarette and gisting. That is not security as far as I'm concerned.
All right, so Dennis, time is now with us, but we can't have this conversation and still refer to the Abuja-Kaduna train situation without talking about how security has shaped up under the administration of President Muhammadu Buhari. And this kidnapping comes as Nigerians are going to head to the polls in about 6 weeks to choose a new president. Security has remained a major issue, and the administration of President Buhari says he is handing over a better secured Nigeria and that he has kept his promises regarding security. And, he had a December 2022 deadline, which his people have walked back and said it was not December, but that by the time he's leaving, he would hand over, we'd end criminality and, of course, terrorism. But overall, when you look at the situations that have developed in the past 7+ years of his administration and the handling of it, could we not have anticipated that it was going to get this bad? We had service chiefs that he did not change for a number of, let's say, years, even though there were absolute failures that were laid at their table. And at the end of the day, he is the commander-in-chief of Nigeria's armed services, and he is in the office that makes him responsible for securing our lives and property. How do you think the president has done so far?
Well, I think the president is responsible for everything that happens because the buck stops on his table. You know, he has, of course, he has service chiefs that he felt who were not doing much, and then, of course, they have to change them. The new set of service chiefs have done fantastically well. They changed the game, you know, and then, of course, they are attacking, they are really doing a lot. But you see, it's just like rash. When you are solving one problem, another one comes out in a different part of the body. So Northwest, I think they are surrendering right now. The government have done very, very well. But we still have the bandits in our government spaces who are there doing whatever they like. You know, so I would say there's a new government coming. People are going to vote. Let them vote so that other people will try their hands. Because actually government is a continuum.
Mm-hmm.
It's a continuum, and then they should try their hands and see that we solve this security problem. It's a very, very existential problem that we have.
And I like the fact you said existential, and I'm going to sneak a final question in. We talk about solutions a lot when it comes to Nigeria's security challenges, and I've heard you also share your opinions on what those solutions to the challenges are. But I want us to end this today by you painting a picture of what happens if the world's most populous black country, with an estimated 200 million plus population, fails to get a handle on its security. What are the consequences for the West African sub-region and even for the African continent?
The consequences are huge because Nigeria is the largest well-populated black country in the whole world. Now, with that kind of situation, remember, not everybody is our friend. There are people that are making sure that they break us down. So whatever we do as a country, there are saboteurs. Look at Nigeria itself. All our what do you call it now? All our neighbors are French speaking. And the French are not very, very happy about Nigeria. They don't like us. And we should know that. Some of these foreign countries that claim to be our friends are not our friends. So it is a problem that we have there. So what we have to do is to be very, very patriotic. And the government, whatever government that comes in, have a big job to do. Get the country together. Let everybody voice out what is worrying him so that we can all agree on a single thing, which is patriotic. Everybody in some countries, they are proud to say, I'm a US citizen. Why can't we say we are proud to be a Nigerian citizen? Why are we trying to say that I'm Yoruba before I'm Nigerian, or I am Fulani before I'm Nigerian? It's not supposed to happen like that. So these are the issues that we have to look at.
All right, Dennis Amakri, I know we're going to be talking to you again. I know very much that's going to happen, of course, because security is a paramount issue for all of us here, and it's one that continues to be at the top of the agenda. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
And the largest economy in Africa, the most populous black country in the world, these are facts about Nigeria, but these are also facts. Thousands have lost their lives and have been displaced due to the country's security challenges. Billions of naira has been paid in kidnapping ransoms. And criminal activities, including terrorism, banditry, and more, have spread out across Nigeria's 36 states. What I know is that as Nigerians decide who their next president should be, many are asking if that person can be trusted to secure their lives and those of their loved ones. That's all on Village Square Africa today. I'll see you tomorrow at 2 p.m. West African time. I'm Tolulope Adeleru-Balogun. Do have a good one.